Life moves fast. Days blur into weeks, and before we know it, months have passed. We set goals, make plans, and promise ourselves that tomorrow will be the day we start living with more intention. But somehow, distractions creep in, and we find ourselves caught in a cycle of busyness without progress. The ancient Stoics understood this struggle. They knew that if we are not careful, life can slip through our fingers like sand. That is why they developed powerful habits. Habits designed not just to survive each day, but to truly live it. These habits were meant to sharpen the mind, strengthen the will, and bring a sense of purpose to every moment. And the best time to cultivate these habits: at night. Before you close your eyes and drift into sleep, there is an opportunity to pause, reflect, and set the foundation for a better tomorrow. What you do in those final moments before bed can shape your mindset, your actions, and ultimately, your destiny. In this video, we will explore essential nighttime practices inspired by Stoicism. Practices that will help you become more resilient, focused, and at peace with yourself. Some of them may challenge you, others may bring you comfort, but all of them have the power to transform the way you live. Before we begin, I encourage you to stay with me until the end. The lessons in this video are not just words. They are tools that can change your life. If you truly want to develop a strong mind and a steady heart, make the commitment to watch through to the final moments. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. That way, you won't miss future videos that can help you grow on this journey. Now let's begin. Every night, before sleep takes over, take a moment to review your day. It's easy to move from one moment to the next without looking back. But true growth comes from reflection. The Stoics believed in self-examination, not as a way to dwell on mistakes, but as a way to learn from them. Ask yourself, how did I spend my time today? Did I act with wisdom and integrity? Did I let anger or fear control me? Did I appreciate the simple moments of life? This is not about judgment or self-criticism. It is about awareness. Only by seeing our patterns can we begin to change them. The Roman philosopher Seneca practiced this habit every night. He would lie in bed and mentally walk through his day, examining his choices and behaviors. He did not do this to punish himself, but to improve. He believed that by holding himself accountable, he could refine his character and live a more virtuous life. This practice is not complicated. You don't need a journal or a strict routine. Simply take a few minutes to replay the events of the day. Observe them as if you were watching a story unfold. What went well? What could have been handled differently? What did you learn? And then, once you have reflected, let it go. The past is beyond your control. What matters is what you do next. Use your reflections not as chains to hold you back, but as stepping stones to move forward. But there is another truth that the Stoics embraced, one that is uncomfortable, yet powerful. It is the reality of mortality. Before falling asleep, remind yourself that life is fleeting. This is not meant to be morbid or depressing. On the contrary, it is a call to live fully. The Stoics practiced a mindset called memento mori, a reminder that death is inevitable. It may seem strange to think about this at night, but it is at this moment, in the stillness before sleep, that we have the greatest opportunity to reflect. Imagine if tonight were your last. Would you be content with how you lived today? Would you have regrets? Would there be things left unsaid? This exercise is not about fear. It is about clarity. When we accept the temporary nature of life, we stop wasting time on things that do not matter. We stop holding grudges, postponing dreams, and letting fear dictate our choices. We begin to appreciate the present moment and focus on what truly matters. If this idea feels overwhelming, start small. Before bed, take a deep breath and remind yourself, tomorrow is not promised. What will I do with today? Let this awareness guide your actions, your decisions, and your relationships. And as you prepare for sleep, consider filling your mind with wisdom. The ancient Stoics valued knowledge above all else. They believed that wisdom was the key to a good life, and they spent their time learning from the great thinkers who came before them, instead of scrolling through endless distractions or falling asleep to background noise. Take a few minutes to read something that enriches your mind. It doesn't have to be complicated. A single passage from a Stoic text, a thought-provoking quote, or even a personal reflection can be enough. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote in his private journal every night. His reflections became the book known as Meditations, one of the most profound works of philosophy ever written. He did not write for an audience. He wrote to remind himself of the principles he wanted to live by. You can do the same. Whether you choose to read, write, or simply reflect, make it a habit to engage with ideas that challenge you, inspire you, and remind you of the kind of person you want to be. At the same time, understand that wisdom is not just about acquiring knowledge, it is about applying it. The Stoics believed that philosophy was meant to be lived, not just studied. The real test of wisdom is not in what you know, but in how you act. And one of the greatest tests of wisdom is learning to let go of things beyond your control. As night falls, take a moment to release the worries of the day. Whatever troubles you faced, whatever frustrations weighed on you, remind yourself that your power lies in your response, not in controlling the world around you. External events, opinions, and circumstances will always be unpredictable. The only thing you truly have control over is your own mind. This is why the Stoics practiced detachment, not indifference, but a deep understanding that peace comes from within. If something bothered you today, ask yourself, was it within my control? If not, why waste energy on it? If yes, what can I do differently next time? By training your mind to separate what is within your power from what is not, you free yourself from unnecessary suffering. And finally, as you close your eyes, embrace rest, not as a break from life, but as a part of it. The Stoics understood the importance of balance. They worked hard, but they also valued rest. They knew that a sharp mind requires a well-rested body. Without proper sleep, even the strongest willpower begins to fade. Before bed, take a moment to breathe deeply. Let go of any lingering stress. Remind yourself that you have done what you could for today. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, new opportunities, and new choices. But for now, rest. Because when morning comes, you will be ready to face the world with strength, clarity, and resilience. Ready to live by the principles of wisdom, courage, and self-discipline. Ready to embrace each moment, knowing that life is short but meaningful. And that is the essence of Stoicism. A new day brings new choices, new challenges, and new opportunities to apply what we have learned. But no matter how well we plan, life will always test our patience, our resilience, and our ability to stay true to our principles. The Stoics understood this deeply. They knew that every day would bring moments of frustration, moments of doubt, and moments where emotions threatened to take control. That is why they trained their minds, not just in theory but in practice. They saw each challenge as an opportunity to sharpen their character. One of the most powerful habits they cultivated was the ability to start the day with a clear intention. Before the world could dictate their mood or their actions, they took a moment to remind themselves of what truly mattered. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, would prepare himself each morning by reminding himself that he would encounter people who were unkind, selfish, or unreasonable. He did not do this to feel superior or resentful. On the contrary, he did it to strengthen his patience and compassion. He knew that expecting perfection from others was foolish. Instead, he focused on what he could control: his own actions, his own mindset, and his own sense of virtue. This is a habit we can all adopt. Each morning, take a few moments before checking your phone, before rushing into the demands of the day, and set an intention. Remind yourself that difficulties will arise. There may be delays, disappointments, or misunderstandings. People may not always act the way you wish they would, but none of that has the power to disturb your inner peace unless you allow it. Tell yourself, today I will focus on what I can control. I will not let external events dictate my emotions. I will act with wisdom and integrity no matter what I face. This simple practice can change the way you experience the world. Instead of reacting impulsively, you will respond with awareness. Instead of being thrown off balance by every challenge, you will meet them with a steady mind. But even with the best intentions, there will be moments when frustration arises. There will be times when anger, impatience, or stress try to take hold. In those moments, the Stoics had another powerful habit, one that allowed them to remain in control no matter what happened around them. They mastered the art of perspective. Seneca wrote that much of our suffering comes not from events themselves, but from the way we interpret them. He understood that the mind has the power to transform any situation, either into a source of pain or into a lesson that strengthens us. Imagine you are stuck in traffic, late for an important meeting. You feel the tension rising. The frustration builds. But then you remind yourself, is my anger solving anything? Is this situation truly as bad as it seems? Can I use this time for something productive, like thinking through a problem or practicing patience? Or perhaps someone says something that offends you. Your first instinct might be to react, to defend yourself, or to respond with equal harshness. But then you pause. You ask yourself, does this person's opinion truly define me? Am I giving them power over my emotions? Can I choose to remain calm instead? This ability to reframe situations is one of the greatest strengths of Stoic philosophy. It is not about ignoring reality or pretending that problems do not exist. It is about seeing reality clearly, without unnecessary exaggeration, without letting emotions cloud judgment, and without allowing temporary frustrations to disrupt inner peace. And perspective is not just about handling challenges. It is also about gratitude. The Stoics understood that most of the things we take for granted are the very things we would miss most if they were gone. Health, freedom, time, the presence of loved ones. These are gifts, yet we rarely stop to appreciate them. Instead, we focus on what we lack, on what went wrong, or on what we wish were different. But gratitude is a choice. It is a habit that can be developed just like any other. And the more we practice it, the more we realize how much we already have. Each morning, take a moment to recognize something you are grateful for. It does not have to be something grand. Even the simplest things, a warm meal, a comfortable bed, the ability to breathe, are worth appreciating. Gratitude shifts the focus from what is missing to what is present. It transforms the ordinary into something valuable. And most importantly, it reminds us that happiness is not found in having more, but in recognizing the worth of what we already have. But life is not just about thought. It is about action. The Stoics did not believe in philosophy as an abstract concept. They believed in living it. And one of the most important ways to embody Stoicism is through discipline. Self-discipline is the foundation of progress. Without it, the best intentions remain just that, intentions. We may have great ideas, ambitious goals, and a vision of the person we want to become. But without discipline, nothing changes. The Stoics trained themselves to do what needed to be done, whether they felt like it or not. They did not wait for motivation. They did not rely on inspiration. They simply acted. Epictetus taught that freedom comes from mastering oneself. He believed that true power is not found in controlling others, but in controlling one's own impulses and desires. When we train ourselves to act with discipline, whether in small habits or in great challenges, we build a kind of inner strength that no external force can shake. But discipline does not mean punishment. It is not about making life difficult for no reason. It is about understanding that every action has consequences and that the choices we make today shape the life we will have tomorrow. This is why the Stoics valued routines. A strong routine is not about restriction. It is about creating a structure that supports growth. It removes the need to constantly rely on willpower and makes good choices automatic. If you want to develop discipline, start with one small habit, something simple but meaningful. It could be waking up at the same time every day, dedicating 10 minutes to learning something new, or practicing a moment of silence before reacting to frustration. The key is consistency. Small actions, done daily, become powerful over time. And just as discipline is necessary for growth, so is resilience. Life will always bring unexpected challenges. No matter how carefully we plan, there will be obstacles we did not anticipate. But what defines us is not what happens to us. It is how we respond. The Stoics believed that adversity is not something to be feared, but something to be embraced. Marcus Aurelius wrote that obstacles are not roadblocks. They are the path itself. Every difficulty is an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more prepared for the future. When faced with hardship, instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "How can I use this? What can I learn from this? How can I grow from this experience?" This shift in mindset changes everything. It turns problems into teachers. It transforms setbacks into lessons. And it allows us to move forward, not with frustration, but with a sense of purpose. This is the essence of Stoicism, not just enduring life, but mastering it. Not just reacting, but choosing. Not just existing, but living with wisdom, strength, and clarity. And when we approach life this way, something incredible happens. The things that once seemed overwhelming lose their power over us. Stress, frustration, and fear no longer control our decisions. Instead, we take charge. We decide how we will respond. This shift in mindset is what separates those who struggle from those who thrive. It is not that difficulties disappear. It is that they no longer dictate our emotions. We gain the ability to face whatever comes our way with a steady mind and a clear heart. But let's be honest, this is not easy. It takes effort, it takes practice, and most of all, it takes a willingness to break old habits and build new ones. Many people live on autopilot, reacting to life rather than directing it. They let circumstances determine their mood. They let other people's actions control their peace. They wait for things to change instead of realizing that they are the ones who must change. The Stoics knew that the only way to truly grow was to take responsibility. They did not waste time complaining about what was unfair or wishing that life was different. They focused on what they could do right now, in this moment. And that is exactly what we must do if we want to live with strength and wisdom. So ask yourself, what is within your control today? Maybe it is how you respond to a difficult situation. Maybe it is the choice to stop procrastinating and take action. Maybe it is deciding to let go of something that no longer serves you. The key is to stop waiting for the perfect moment. There is no perfect moment. There is only now. And every moment is an opportunity to practice being the person you want to be. Take, for example, the way we handle criticism. Most people take it personally. They feel attacked. They react emotionally. But the Stoics approached criticism differently. They asked themselves two simple questions. Is this criticism true? And if it is, how can I improve? If the criticism was valid, they saw it as a gift, a chance to grow. If it was false, they ignored it. They did not waste energy arguing or feeling offended. They understood that getting upset would only give power to someone else's words. This is a lesson we can apply every day. We cannot control what others say, but we can control how we respond. And when we stop letting other people's opinions dictate our emotions, we gain a kind of freedom that few ever experience. But freedom is not just about how we handle criticism. It is also about how we spend our time. Most people waste hours every day on distractions. They scroll endlessly on their phones. They jump from one task to another without focus. They let the day slip by without truly being present. And then they wonder why they feel unfulfilled, why they are not making progress, why life feels like it is passing them by. The Stoics had a deep respect for time. They saw it as the most valuable resource we have, because once it is gone, we can never get it back. Seneca wrote that people guard their money carefully, but they waste their time as if it were infinite. Think about that. If someone tried to steal your money, you would stop them. But how often do we let distractions steal our time? How often do we give away hours to meaningless activities without even thinking about it? If we want to live with purpose, we must be intentional with our time. That does not mean we can never relax. It means we should be aware of how we are spending our days. It means choosing activities that bring real value. Whether that is learning something new, working on a meaningful goal, or simply being present with the people we care about. Every day is a new chance to decide what kind of life we are creating. And the decisions we make, no matter how small, shape our future. The books we read, the conversations we have, the thoughts we entertain, all of these things determine who we become. The Stoics understood this. That is why they practiced mindfulness long before it became a trend. They trained themselves to be fully present, to observe their thoughts without being controlled by them, to engage with life rather than being lost in distractions. And one of the simplest ways to do this is through journaling. Marcus Aurelius did this every day. He wrote down his thoughts, his struggles, and his reflections on how to live better. He was not writing for an audience. He was writing to strengthen his own mind. His journal became a tool for self-improvement, a way to keep himself accountable. This is a practice we can all adopt. You do not need to write pages of deep philosophical insights. Even a few sentences about what you learned today, what you are grateful for, or how you handled a challenge can be incredibly powerful. Journaling helps us slow down. It helps us see our own patterns, our own habits, and our own progress. And most importantly, it helps us live with greater awareness. Because awareness is the foundation of change. When we become aware of our thoughts, we can choose which ones to listen to and which ones to let go. When we become aware of our habits, we can replace the ones that do not serve us. When we become aware of how we spend our time, we can make sure we are investing it wisely. The more we practice, the more natural it becomes. And as we grow in awareness, we begin to see something incredible, the power we have over our own lives. We are not victims of fate. We are not at the mercy of circumstances. We are the architects of our future. This is the essence of Stoicism, not just accepting life as it is, but shaping it with wisdom and strength. Not just surviving, but thriving. Not just thinking about philosophy, but living it every single day. And when we truly live it, we begin to experience a level of freedom that most people never reach. A freedom from fear, from doubt, from the endless cycle of reacting impulsively to whatever life throws at us. Because at the core of Stoicism is a simple but life-changing truth. We may not control everything, but we always control ourselves. This realization alone shifts everything. It changes how we see challenges, how we handle setbacks, and even how we pursue success. Too many people let their emotions lead them. They let frustration push them into decisions they regret. They let fear hold them back from opportunities. They let temporary discomfort keep them from doing what is necessary. But when we understand that we are in control, we no longer fall into these traps. Take fear, for example. Fear is one of the biggest barriers to growth. It stops people from trying new things, from speaking up, from taking risks that could change their lives. But fear itself is rarely the problem. The problem is how we respond to it. The Stoics did not believe in eliminating fear entirely. Instead, they trained themselves to act despite it. They practiced something called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. They would visualize worst-case scenarios, not to dwell on negativity, but to prepare themselves mentally. By imagining what could go wrong and realizing they could handle it, they took away fear's power. Think about something you have been avoiding because of fear. Maybe it is a conversation you need to have. Maybe it is a goal you have been putting off. Maybe it is a decision you need to make. Now ask yourself, what is the worst that could happen? If things went badly, could you survive it? Could you learn from it? The answer, in almost every case, is yes. And once you see that, fear loses its grip. This mindset applies to failure as well. Most people see failure as something to be ashamed of. They take it personally. They let it define them. But the Stoics saw failure as feedback. Nothing more, nothing less. It was not a reflection of their worth, but an opportunity to adjust and improve. Thomas Edison is a great example of this. He famously failed thousands of times while trying to invent the light bulb. But he did not see those attempts as failures. He saw them as part of the process. Each one brought him closer to success. That is the Stoic approach. Instead of being discouraged by setbacks, use them as stepping stones. Learn from them, adapt, keep moving forward. But to do this, we must let go of one of the biggest obstacles to growth, the need for external validation. So many people live their lives based on what others think. They make decisions to impress others. They chase approval. They fear judgment. And in doing so, they give up control over their own lives. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. This is a powerful realization. Why do we let the opinions of others dictate our happiness? Why do we seek approval from people who may not even understand our goals or values? The truth is, no matter what you do, someone will always have an opinion. Some will support you. Some will doubt you. Some will criticize you. That is life. The key is to stop seeking validation from the outside and start focusing on what truly matters to you. This does not mean ignoring advice or shutting yourself off from feedback. It means knowing the difference between constructive criticism and empty opinions. It means having a strong enough sense of purpose that you do not need constant approval to keep going. It means being able to stand alone, if necessary, without losing confidence in yourself. And when you reach this level of self-assurance, something incredible happens. You stop hesitating. You stop second-guessing yourself. You start making decisions based on what is right, not on what is popular. You take action, not out of fear, but out of clarity. And that is when real progress begins. Because progress is not about waiting for the perfect moment. It is about making the most of the moment you have right now. The people who achieve the most are not necessarily the most talented or the luckiest. They are the ones who take consistent action. They do not wait for motivation. They create habits that keep them moving forward. They do not rely on discipline alone. They set up systems that make success inevitable. They do not focus on overnight success. They commit to steady improvement over time. This is why the Stoics valued daily practice. They understood that greatness is built through small, repeated actions. Epictetus said, "First tell yourself what kind of person you want to be, then do what you have to do." It is simple but powerful. If you want to be stronger, act like someone who is strong. If you want to be disciplined, start making disciplined choices. If you want to be wise, seek wisdom every day. The key is consistency. Most people get excited at the beginning of a goal, but that excitement fades. They start with energy, but when results are not immediate, they stop. Stoicism teaches us to push past that, to keep going even when progress is slow, to stay committed even when it feels difficult. Because success is not about intense effort for a short time. It is about steady effort over a long time. And this applies to every area of life. If you want to be physically strong, you cannot train for 1 week and expect results. If you want to be mentally strong, you cannot read 1 book and expect wisdom. If you want to build financial security, you cannot save money for a month and expect wealth. Everything worthwhile takes time. That is why patience is one of the most underrated virtues. People give up too soon. They quit when things do not happen fast enough. They expect instant results in a world that rewards long-term effort. But the most successful people, the ones who truly achieve great things, understand that patience is power. They trust the process. They know that as long as they keep going, they will get there. They do not let temporary setbacks shake their belief. They do not let slow progress discourage them. They focus on what they can control, their effort, their discipline, their mindset. And when you adopt this approach, life changes. You stop feeling rushed. You stop feeling like you are falling behind. You realize that every step forward, no matter how small, is bringing you closer to where you want to be. So whatever you are working toward, stay with it. Keep taking action. Keep learning. Keep improving. Because the people who persist, who stay consistent, who refuse to quit, those are the ones who achieve what others only dream of. They are the ones who break through obstacles, who turn failures into stepping stones, who build lives that others admire but few are willing to work for. And the truth is, it is not because they are special or lucky. It is because they understand a principle that most people overlook. Mastery comes from persistence. Look at the greatest minds, the most successful leaders, the most skilled artists, athletes, and innovators. They did not wake up one day with all their abilities fully formed. They built them, day by day, choice by choice, action by action. The difference between those who succeed and those who do not is not intelligence, not background, not even opportunity. It is the willingness to keep going when others stop. But here is something most people do not realize. Persistence is not just about hard work. It is also about learning. The Stoics believed that progress comes from self-examination. They practiced something called evening reflection, where they would review their actions each day, asking themselves, what did I do well? What could I have done better? What will I improve tomorrow? This is a habit worth adopting. Imagine if every night, instead of mindlessly scrolling through distractions, you took 5 minutes to reflect on your day. You identified one thing you could improve and committed to doing it better the next day. Over time, these small improvements compound. They create momentum, they turn into mastery, and this applies to every challenge in life. Take discipline, for example. So many people struggle with self-control. They want to wake up earlier, eat healthier, focus more, waste less time. But they keep falling into old habits. Why? Because they approach discipline as if it is something you either have or do not have. But discipline is a skill, and like any skill, it can be trained. The Stoics trained their discipline through voluntary hardship. They would intentionally practice discomfort, fasting, sleeping on the floor, exposing themselves to the cold, not because they enjoyed suffering, but because they understood a critical truth. If you can be comfortable with discomfort, nothing can control you. Think about it. Most people give in to impulses because they are afraid of temporary discomfort. They eat junk food because it is easier than cooking a healthy meal. They stay in bed because waking up early feels unpleasant. They procrastinate because starting a task requires effort. But if you train yourself to handle discomfort, those excuses lose their power. You become someone who does what needs to be done, regardless of how you feel in the moment. And that is true freedom, because real freedom is not doing whatever you want. It is having the strength to do what is right, even when it is difficult. It is being in control of yourself, instead of being controlled by your emotions, cravings, or external circumstances. This is why the Stoics emphasized one virtue above all others: wisdom. Wisdom is not just knowledge, it is applied knowledge. It is the ability to see things clearly, to make sound decisions, to act with purpose. And the way you develop wisdom is by questioning everything: your habits, your thoughts, your reactions. Most people go through life on autopilot. They react instead of thinking. They follow routines without questioning them. They accept beliefs without examining them. But if you start questioning everything, why do I react this way? Why do I believe this? Is this action serving me? You begin to gain real power over your life. Because self-awareness is the foundation of growth. Once you see your patterns, you can change them. Once you understand your weaknesses, you can strengthen them. Once you recognize what is holding you back, you can break through it. And that is where transformation happens, not through massive overnight changes, but through small, consistent shifts in how you think, how you act, and how you respond to the world around you. And when you commit to that process, when you commit to becoming just a little wiser, a little stronger, a little more disciplined each day, you will wake up one day and realize that you have built a life that is unshakable. Because when you become unshakable, the world no longer dictates how you feel, how you act, or what you become. You stop being a passive participant in life and start being the architect of it. And that is something few people ever achieve. Most remain trapped by their emotions, by their fears, by their past, by the opinions of others. But those who break free, who take full responsibility for their minds and actions, they are the ones who create lives of meaning, purpose, and fulfillment. And the key to all of this, it is simple. Control what you can, let go of what you cannot, and always focus on what is within your power. This is the essence of Stoicism. You do not waste time blaming the world, complaining about circumstances, or wishing things were different. Instead, you direct all your energy toward what you can influence, your mindset, your choices, your actions. This shift in perspective is life-changing. Think about how often people stress over things outside their control. They get frustrated by traffic, annoyed by the weather, angered by other people's opinions. They allow external events to dictate their inner state. But the Stoics understood that this is a losing battle. The more you try to control what is beyond your power, the more frustrated and powerless you feel. But the moment you shift your focus inward, everything changes. You realize that no matter what happens, you always have a choice. How you interpret the situation, how you react, and what you do next. And in that choice lies your power. Take adversity, for example. Most people see hardship as something to avoid, as something unfair. But the Stoics saw it differently. They believed that challenges are not obstacles, they are opportunities. Every difficulty is a chance to grow stronger, to learn, to refine your character. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, put it this way: the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. In other words, whatever is blocking you is not stopping you. It is guiding you. It is shaping you into someone more capable, more resilient, more unstoppable. Imagine if you approached every setback with this mindset. Instead of getting discouraged, you asked yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this make me better? Suddenly, failure is no longer failure, it is feedback. A closed door is not rejection, it is redirection. And obstacles are not the end of the road, they are part of the path. This is the mindset that allows people to rise above their circumstances, to turn pain into power, to transform struggles into strength. Because the truth is, life will always test you. There will be moments when things do not go as planned, when you face loss, failure, or disappointment. But what matters is not what happens to you. It is how you respond. And this is where emotional control comes in. The Stoics trained themselves to master their emotions, not by suppressing them, but by understanding them. They knew that emotions are not enemies, they are signals. But most people let their emotions control them. They act out of anger, make decisions out of fear, or let anxiety dictate their choices. But the moment you learn to observe your emotions without being ruled by them, you gain true power. You feel anger, but you do not lash out. You feel fear, but you do not let it stop you. You feel doubt, but you keep moving forward. This is what makes a person truly strong, not the absence of emotions, but the ability to rise above them. And this is something you can train. Every time you feel a strong emotion, instead of reacting impulsively, take a breath, step back, Ask yourself, is this emotion serving me? Is my reaction aligned with my values? The more you practice this, the more control you gain. And over time, you become unshakable. Not because life gets easier, but because you become stronger. And when you develop this kind of strength, something incredible happens. You stop being at the mercy of circumstances. You no longer depend on everything going perfectly to feel at peace. Instead, your peace comes from within, built on the foundation of your own discipline and perspective. This is what the Stoics mastered. They understood that true freedom is not about having control over the world. It is about having control over yourself. Because think about it. How many people do you know who are constantly stressed, anxious, or upset because of things outside their control? They let a rude comment ruin their day. They let a small inconvenience trigger frustration. They allow the opinions of others to determine their self-worth. But imagine being the kind of person who remains steady no matter what happens, who doesn't crumble under pressure, who doesn't waste time on resentment, who doesn't get thrown off course by every little challenge. Imagine facing chaos with calmness, setbacks with determination, and uncertainty with confidence. That is the kind of strength that changes everything. And the best part? It is something you can build, no matter where you are in life. You do not need to be born with it. You do not need perfect conditions. You simply need to commit to training your mind the same way you would train your body. Every situation, every difficulty, every emotional trigger, it all becomes part of your practice. And one of the most powerful ways to train this: perspective. The way you see things determines how you experience them. The same event can either break you or build you, depending on how you interpret it. And the Stoics were masters of perspective. Take Epictetus, for example. He was born into slavery, had no control over his early life, and yet he became one of the most influential philosophers in history. How? Because he refused to see himself as a victim. He believed that while he could not control his external circumstances, he could always control his mind. And that was enough. Now think about your own life. How often do you give power to things that do not deserve it? How often do you let minor inconveniences frustrate you? Let other people's negativity affect you? Let fear hold you back? Imagine what would happen if, instead, you took full responsibility for your reactions. If you trained yourself to see obstacles as challenges, failures as lessons, and difficulties as opportunities to grow. This is not about ignoring reality or pretending everything is perfect. It is about choosing the most useful perspective in every situation. Because reality is neutral. It is our interpretation that gives it meaning. A challenge is just a challenge until you decide whether it is a problem or an opportunity. A mistake is just a mistake until you decide whether to let it define you or teach you. And this shift in perspective is powerful, because the moment you stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances and start seeing yourself as the creator of your own responses, you take your power back. No one can control how you feel unless you let them. No situation can break you unless you allow it. And this is where discipline comes in. Because mindset alone is not enough. You need action. You need habits that reinforce your strength. The Stoics understood that philosophy is not just something to think about. It is something to live. That means practicing resilience daily. It means training yourself to act with courage, to speak with integrity, to choose what is right over what is easy. And one of the most effective ways to do this? Voluntary discomfort. The Stoics believed that by intentionally facing small difficulties, you build the strength to handle bigger ones. Seneca, for example, would sleep on the floor and eat simple meals, not because he had to, but because he wanted to prove to himself that he could handle discomfort. And this is a practice you can adopt today. It could be as simple as taking a cold shower, fasting for a few hours, or challenging yourself to do something uncomfortable. The point is to remind yourself that you are not fragile, that you can handle more than you think, that comfort is not a necessity, it is a luxury. Because when you no longer fear discomfort, you become truly free. You are not afraid of rejection because you have faced it before. You are not afraid of struggle because you have trained for it. You are not controlled by your impulses because you have disciplined yourself to rise above them. And this is what separates those who merely exist from those who truly live. The ability to face life with strength, no matter what it throws at you. The ability to stay centered in a chaotic world. The ability to move forward with purpose, even when the path is uncertain. And this is what truly sets you apart. The decision to take control of your life instead of letting life control you. The choice to strengthen your mind, to master your emotions, and to walk through the world with confidence, no matter what challenges arise. This is the mindset that builds true resilience. This is the path to freedom. Now, if this message resonated with you, if you feel inspired to develop this kind of strength, then you are in the right place. This channel is dedicated to helping you grow, to giving you the tools and the mindset that will allow you to face anything life throws at you. And this is just the beginning. There is so much more to learn, so many powerful ideas that can transform the way you see the world. So if you have not already, make sure to subscribe. Because every video is designed to give you something valuable, something that will push you forward, challenge your perspective, and help you become the strongest version of yourself. And if you are already subscribed, then welcome to the journey. Keep watching, keep learning, and most importantly, keep applying these lessons to your life. Because knowledge alone is not enough. It is what you do with it that matters. And I promise you, if you commit to this path, if you keep growing, if you keep challenging yourself, you will become unstoppable. You will develop the kind of resilience that no obstacle can shake, the kind of mindset that allows you to thrive no matter what. So take this step, subscribe, stay with us, and let's keep building a life of strength, wisdom, and purpose. The journey does not end here. It is just getting started.